What do we do?
Alone Again Naturally is actually recorded in the key of F sharp major, but this lesson is in the key of F major. So the notes that you see for the ad lib as well as the chord is for F major, and it is a half step lower than the pitch of the record. This lesson is presented in tablature or tab. A tablature or tab is a representation of the fretboard of the ukulele. And or let's review the parts of the ukulele, which refers to the fretboard. These spaces are what we call frets. So this is the first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret, and so on. And this is the first string, second, third, and fourth. And this tablature is a tablature or tab for ukulele. So you see four lines. Those lines or these lines represent the strings of the ukulele. This line represents the first string. This line represents the second string. This line represents the third string. And this line represents the fourth string. Whenever you see a number on a line or on a string, it tells you to press or fret that string at a particular fret. So for this lesson, how to learn the ad lib part of the song on ukulele, the first number that you see is 1. And it's on that string which represent the second string. And 1 tells you to press the second string at first fret. So you have to put your index finger here. And the next number is 3. And it's still on the same line. So that tells you to play the same string at third fret, as 3 indicates third fret. So here. So for the first two numbers, it goes like this. And those are the first two notes of the ad lib. In the next measure, you see a sequence of more numbers, and it begins with 0 on that line that represents the first string. A 0 tells you to just play the string open. Just pick the string open. So it's this way. After that, you see a number 3 on the line that represents the second string. And the number 3 there tells you to press the string at third fret. And this is third fret. And then the next number is 5, which is still on the same string. And this is the fifth fret. But you see a line or a slash between 3 and 5. It refers to a left hand technique which we call slide. So you have a first note, a third fret, pick it once, and keep it ringing. And as it's ringing, you slide your index finger to fifth fret. So it goes like this. So this is how to play the next two numbers. And then the next number that follows is a 3 on the line that represent the first string. So it's this one. And you see the same number on the same line. So just pick it one more time. And then the next number is a 5 on the string that represents the second string. And the number 5 there tells you to play or pick the second string at fifth fret, so this one. And then it follows by number 1 on the same string, so at first fret again. And then on the same line, a number 3, so that means pick the same string at third fret here. So for this measure, you have and that's the melody for that measure, which corresponds for F major chord. So from the beginning, from the first two notes, it sounds like this. That's it. Also, you would notice that you'll have to play the second note in this measure, which is the second string with the third fret, with your ring finger, and use the ring finger to play the two notes, three slide to fifth or three slide to five, so that you have your index finger ready to play the next couple of notes on the first string at third fret. And then, since you already have your ring finger on the second string at fifth fret, just pick it one more time. Right? So again, from the beginning, from the first two notes, in the next measure, which corresponds for A minor chord, you see a sequence of notes that's similar to the previous measure. The only difference is the last two notes in this measure. So you have 0 on the first string, pick it open, and then 3 slide to 5 on the second string, and then 3 again on the first string twice, and then back to the second string at 5th fret. And then the main difference between this measure and in the previous measure is the following two notes. You have 3 on the line that represents the first string, so here, and then it's followed by 5 on the same line, so just pick the same string at 5th fret. So for this measure, there. So from the beginning, from the first two notes, or the opening notes, there. In the next measure, for C minor chord, you see 5, which is the first number, on a line that represents the first string. This is the first string. The number 5 there tells you to press the first string at 5th fret, so here. But for this number, you see symbols, an arrow that goes up, and you see fractions, 1/4, 1/2. What I mean here is that you'll be picking that note and incorporate a left hand technique. And that left hand technique is bending. So you bend the string. So for this note, you bend the first string at 5th fret. As you bend the string up, you would notice that the pitch goes up. Bending is actually another way of playing or raising the pitch of a string without moving from its position. Let's say you have this note 5 and then 6. You can actually produce this sound at 6th fret, right at 5th fret by bending it. So to demonstrate what bending is, this is the sound or this is the pitch at 6th fret. I can produce this pitch right at 5th fret by bending it there, right? So bend it this much. This pitch is the same as the pitch of the string played at 6th fret. In this case, the lead guitarist played these two notes in a more interesting way. Instead of doing or making this sound, he doesn't want that sound as playing two notes at different fret. It's like there's discontinuity, but he wants to play legato so that the transition from one pitch to the next is smooth. As you can hear, it's different from this one. And besides with bending, you can play two notes on a string just once. As you can see, I pick the string at once only, and I produce two notes. The one, it begins with the first note, which is the sound at 5th fret, and the resulting or the ending note or pitch is the sound at 6th fret. But with bending, I had to pick it only once. Compared if you don't use left hand technique, then you will have to pick it twice. But again, the main reason why bending is used is because the writer of the melody of this ad-lib part wants it to sound that way, not this way. And you may find that bending the first string, which is very tight, and I suggest that you use two fingers to bend the string. So if you are required, since we are required to press the second string or the first string at fifth fret, then we can help it out. We can help the ring finger in bending by having your middle finger on the next lower fret. So I would have my middle finger right at fourth fret. So bending is easier compared if you're just using one finger. There's possibility that the string might slip, just like what you hear now. But with two fingers, bending would be easier to do, and you prevent the string from slipping. Right? So this bending is what we call half bend because your intended pitch is only a half step higher from from the first note. The note at fifth fret compared to the note at sixth fret, their difference in interval is half step. So it's a half bend. To continue, you see a series of the same number on the first string. The first five that you see is that's when you bend the string, but you see a series of fractions, one fourth and one half. What I mean there is that you bend the string slow so that it goes up in pitch, but the pitch is not a half step higher from the previous. It's just one fourth higher, slow, and then continue to bend it so that it gets to the desired pitch of half step higher there. And then the next five that you see is that when you bend the string, keep it bent and then pick it another time. And for the next five is just doing the same thing. So what I mean there for the first three five that you see, you bend the string, assure it's a pitch, pick it twice. There. So and then the fourth five, the next number five that you see, which is the fourth one, but it has no bending symbol. But that means at this time you'll have to release the string from bending, bring it back to its normal position, and pick it one more time. So for the first four counts of five, the first three five is bent, and then release it, pick it another time, and then it follows by a couple of five more. So just pick. So for that series of fives, it goes like this. And then the next note is on the same line, and you see number three. So that means we're playing the same string, first string at third fret, and then do it two more times. And then the last two numbers, both six, on the line that represents the second string, which is this one, and the six there tells you to play that string at sixth fret, and this is the sixth fret. So, so for this measure, the next measure is a sequence of notes for two chords, A minor and D major. This measure is actually a split measure because you have two chords to be played in this measure. And you see a series of numbers. The first number is five on a string that represents the second string. So you see four fives on the same line that represent the second string, and the five there is to play the second string at fifth fret. This is a fifth fret, so it goes like this. So after playing the second string at fifth fret four times, the next two notes is the same number, which is three, on the same string. So here at third fret, and then still on the same string, but at second fret. So for this sequence of notes, it goes like this. And then it's followed by two numbers, 0 and 2, with a slur. And then you see letter H on top of the slur. H there stands for hammer on. It's another left hand technique for the left hand. And the first number is 0 on that line. That represents the third string. And again, 0 tells you to just pick that string open. Then the next number is 2, which refers second fret. So that means after playing the third string open, the sound of that string at second fret must be played or must be produced. But how are you going to produce that sound? That's what the letter H stands for. It means hammer on, and hammer on is this way. With the first note played or ringing, you hammer that string at the stated fret, which is the second fret. So you hammer this string with one of your left hand fingers, and ideally, you can hammer it with index, middle, or ring finger. But for this part of the song or ad lib, since it's at second fret, applying the positional playing, meaning if there's a note at first fret, that would be for the index finger. If there's a note at second fret, that would be for the middle finger. If there's a note at third fret, that would be for the ring finger. And since that note is at second fret, then I will use my middle finger to hammer that string. Hammer is literally you hammer that string with the tip of the finger. This one. So as you can see, I'm hammering the third string. But for that sequence, you play the third string open. As it rings, hammer it at the required fret. So that's hammer on technique. So for this measure, it sounds like this. There. In the next measure, for G minor chord, the first number that you see is number 3 on the line that represents the second string. So 3 again refers to third fret, and the second number is the same number on the same line. So you pick the second string twice. And then the next number is a 1 on the first string, and you do it twice. And then the following number is just like the first two numbers. So you pick the second string at third fret. So for this sequence of notes, the first 5 notes in this measure, it goes like this. And then it's followed by a pair of number, which is to be played hammer on or using hammer on technique, which is what you did in the previous measure. So pick the third string open and then hammer on that string at second fret. So for this measure, that corresponds for B flat minor, the first note is 3 on the line that represents the second string. And you do the same thing twice. And that's the rhythm for these first 3 notes. And then it's followed by a 1 on the first string. And do it again. And then back to the second string, pressed or fretted at third fret. And then on the same string, pick it at first fret and then third fret. So for this measure, it goes like this. For this measure, or for this split measure between F and F augmented, if you look at the numbers or if you look at the sequence of numbers, you'll see or you'll recognize that it's just like one set of numbers but played twice. You see 3 zeros at the beginning and followed by 3 1 3, and then you repeat that. So You have zeros, three zeros on the line that represents the first string. And then you see 3, 1, 3 on the line that represents the second string. So 3, 1, 3, and then you do it again. For the first set, and then you repeat that for F augmented. So for the entire measure, for the next split measure between D minor and E dominant 7th, for D minor you have 5 numbers, 003 slide 5, 5. The slide there, the slash symbol, we have discussed that in the first part of this tutorial, which is for the second measure where you have the slide. So to begin this measure, you start with the first string, pick it twice, open, and then press the same string at third fret. Then while it's stringing, slide it to fifth fret. So, and then you pick it again. So for D minor chord, and then for the next group, which corresponds to E dominant 7, you see the same number on the same string. So just pick it one more time, but it's followed by a number 5 with an arrow up and then down symbol. So it's a bend and release on the first string at fifth fret. So I'll use two fingers, my ring finger at the right fret and my middle finger helping out the ring finger, but with my middle finger at fourth fret. So bend it half step. That means I'll be generating or I'll be producing the sound at sixth fret on the same string, which is this pitch. So then and then release it. So I bend it and then release it. So that's what that arrow up and down symbol refer to. So and then you see a number 5 again, but there's no arrow up. So that number 5 is the same string played at fifth fret but without bending. So after bending, you release again, bend it, release, and then pick it again. So for this measure, it goes like this. There. For this measure, you have a sequence of notes for A minor chord, and these notes are played without any left hand technique. So you begin with the first string, play the third fret, and then again, and then a number 5 on the second string, and then back to first string, played at second fret, as that's what number 2 tells you to do. And then the next number is a 3, that means a third fret. And then the next number is 5, and that would be for the second string at fifth fret. And then the last number is 2 on the first string at second fret. And the rhythm is like this. For this measure, that corresponds for another split measure between C minor and D major. Let's go first for C minor chord. The first number that you see is 3 on the line that represents the first string. It's followed by 3, 6, still on the same string. So it goes like this, third fret, and then sixth fret. So you can play it with your pinky, or you can also play it with your middle ring finger. So it goes like this. You only have to stretch your fingers. But the stretching is less if you use your pinky, because you can apply positional playing there. If you have your index finger third fret, your pinky would naturally fall at sixth fret. So, and then for D major chord, you see 5 on the same string, fifth fret, and you see the bending symbol again. and you see the number or the fraction half. So you do half bend. So that means you bend the first string at fifth fret to the pitch of the sound at sixth fret on the same string. So this is the pitch. You create this pitch right at fifth fret. So you bend to get that pitch this high. So that's the first one for D major chord. And then you see the same number with the bending symbol. What I mean here is that on the first time you bend the first string at fifth fret, you just pick it one more time. And then you see the symbol or the arrow that goes down. So pick it one more time and then release it. So for that pair of fives, then pick it again. So for the first five, you pick it and bend it. While it's bent, for the second five, just pick it again, but release it. So you hear that releasing sound. So, and then the next number is a three on the same string. So here. So for this measure, you have this rhythm or melody. And this measure for G minor chord, you're going to learn another left hand technique. Earlier, you have learned hammer-on technique, which is represented by letter H. But in this measure, you see another symbol, letter P, and that's the symbol for another left-hand technique, which means pull off. Pull off is just like the opposite of hammer-on. Let's take the first two numbers. For this measure, you have three on the line that represents the first string. So you pick the first string at third fret, and then the next number is 5, which is at fifth fret. But since there is a slur between these two numbers and there's letter H above it, so you don't play it this way. You don't pick it twice. You don't pick at third fret once, and you don't pick at fifth fret once. Instead, you just pick once right at third fret, and while it's ringing, you hammer on the same string at fifth fret. So the sequence is that's for the first two numbers. But it's followed by number 3. So that means going back to third fret. But you don't do it that way. You don't do it this way. Not this way. But while the first string is ringing at fifth fret, you pull it, meaning you take out that finger. But you have to have your index fingers there at third fret so you can make a pull off sound. It's like a release sound, but releasing to third fret. That's what pull off means. So hammer on is you hammer on the string. Pull off is the opposite. You take out that finger on that string or release that string. So hammer on, pull off. You would notice I just picked the whole thing once without the hammer on and pull off techniques. It's going to sound like this. So I picked 3 times, but that's not how it is played. It's played like this. If you listen to the record, you will hear this rhythm. So I just pick once and I produce 3 sounds. So 1, 2, 3. And that sequence is followed by a 1. So normal picking, all you have to do is on the same string, pick it at first fret. So for that sequence, there, right? And then the next group is 1, 3, 1. 1, hammer on the third fret, pull off at first fret. So the rhythm is kind of similar to the previous one, but sounds lower because you're playing it at lower frets. Unlike the first one, you're playing it at these frets. But this group is at lower frets, the first 3 frets. So 1, 3, 1, and then it's followed by 0, rest, a short rest, and then another 0, pick the first string open again. And then the next last two numbers is a 3 on the line that represent the second string. this one. So 3 there is third fret. So you pick the second string twice. So for the whole measure, in this measure for B flat minor, the first two numbers that you see is the 3 on the string that represents the first string. So you play the first string at third fret, and I'll use my index finger to play that. And then the next numbers is 6 on the line that represents the second string. This is the second string. So pick it at 6th fret. So for the first three notes, and then it's followed by a group of three numbers to be played with hammer on and pull off, similar to the previous measure, but at different frets. So hammer the first string at fourth fret. So pick it at third fret first while it's ringing, hammer it on at fourth fret, hammer on at fourth fret, and then release that string at third fret. So for this group or this sequence, it goes like this. And then it's followed by 6, number 6 on the string that represents the second string. So here. And then on the third string, on the line that represents the third string, you see two numbers, 5 and 7. So the third string is to be played or picked at 5th fret. And you see the symbol slash there, which represents slide. So pick that string once while it's ringing, slide it to 7th fret. So from the beginning, it sounds like this. And then the last two numbers on the second string at first fret, and then pick the same string at third fret. So for the sequence in this measure, it sounds like this. In this measure for F major chord, the sequence of notes is pretty straightforward. You just play the first string open twice, and then twice at third fret, then once open, and then on the second string at first fret, and then third fret. And the rhythms like this. This is the last measure of the ad-lib part. The sequence of numbers is all played on the first string. The first number is 0 on the string that represents the first string. So again, just play the first string open. And then it's followed by number 3. That means at third fret. And since there's a slide symbol, so while the note is ringing at third fret, so while your fingers at third fret, and while the string is ringing, slide it to 5th fret. And then it's followed by number 5 again. So pick the same string at the same fret. And then the next number is another 5, but it has to be played with the slide technique to 7th fret. So, and then the last note is at 7th fret. Just pick it one more time. So for this sequence, you have there. This is the demo for the ad-lib part. I hope you find this tutorial helpful in learning the ad-lib part of the song. For the demonstration of playing the whole song with the ad-lib, click this card. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to get notified for new upload. Please check out the end screens for more contents like this. Thank you for watching.